Welcome back! Today's video is designed to introduce you to our course and to show you how to use the course guide to your advantage. The Total Learning Center at Victoria College presents Dr. Deb Explains How to Be Successful in College, Course Guide Introduction. Almost every textbook either explains how to read it or how to use it in the very beginning pages of the book. But most students ignore these pages, which is sad because they can be very helpful. Today I'm going to walk you through how to use the course guide to get the most out of this class and to help you be a successful college student, as you can use these tips and strategies with every textbook in every class. First, let's prepare for the reading selection. In this step, what you do is you want to take a moment to self-monitor. You want to ask yourself questions such as, what do I remember from the chapter if you've already read it? Or, what do I want to learn from this chapter? Another question that you could ask is something like, what will this chapter be about? All of these are good questions, and they help prepare your brain for the learning that's to come. So it's always nice to give your brain a good warm-up. The next thing that you want to do is you want to prepare your notes, because as you're reading, it's a good idea to make notes and take note of the important key points that you're reading about. And when you do this, you don't want to just start on any blank piece of paper. What you want to do is you want to take your paper and you want to put the topic at the very beginning, and then you want to put the day's date. The reason that you do these two things is at the end of the unit or selection, your teacher may say, the test will be on everything from chapter 1 through chapter 4. And if you have the topic, chapter 1, at the top of your notes, you'll know what to study. Another thing that your teacher might do is they might say everything that we covered in September. So you can look at your notes and you can find by the date what was covered during those months. The next thing I'd like to talk about is before reading. Every selection that we give you in our course has a before reading section. We ask you generally 2 questions, such as, what do you think are some of the issues that college students have regarding this? Or, what was it like where you came from, high school, home, or work? The purpose behind these previewing questions is twofold. First, it helps your brain look ahead to see what's going to be covered in the section. And it wakes your brain up so that it's like, oh, I've read this before, or I know all about this topic. Or you might be totally unfamiliar with it, and your brain is thinking, I never heard this before. I wonder what this is going to be about. The second way that previewing helps is that it helps cement the information in your memory, because it helps link what you are learning with what you previously have known. And that makes you remember it better and longer. So at the beginning of the course guide, we have a previewing section. And when we use the reading checks, you also have a pre-reading section that has different questions. It's always best to do some type of pre-reading, skimming, looking over the chapters, looking at the headlines, looking at the key terms, even if your professors don't give them to you. The purpose of this class is to identify some key transition issues that students have upon entering college. Each chapter in our course guide introduces a new transition issue that community college students often have when transitioning into college. We think this is important because research indicates that a 2007 cohort of community college students, by the time they graduated, only 1 out of 5 graduated. We don't want that for you. We want to make sure that you have a long and successful college career. So we want you to know some of the roadblocks and stumbling blocks that you may encounter and how to fix those. So you will be presented with 10 issues that students experience upon transitioning to the college community. Each chapter will also have ways, tips, strategies, principles, and theories to help combat that issue. If you take all of the information from this course and apply it to your college career, I have no doubt that you can be very successful. Next, let's talk about terminology. The key terms in this chapter include culture, success, learning theory, learning strategy, and principle. First, let's start with culture. The definition of culture is the collective norms, rituals, and behaviors that a group of people share. A concrete example of this is Christmas. Does your family celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve by opening presents, or do you wait until Christmas morning? That would be an example of the culture of your family. The rituals, the behaviors, the norms, the traditions. All of that varies from family to family, but it determines their culture. In this course, we are looking at culture as high school, meaning high school students, those students who have come to us from a stay-at-home environment where they were a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home child, and those who come from the workplace. So they've worked a typical 40-hour-a-week job, and now they're transitioning into college. And we are comparing all of these cultures, the habits, the norms, the rituals that these students bring into the community college culture and what those norms and rituals and behaviors are like. Another word that we're going to be looking at is success. Success is achieving your goals in life, whatever they are. For example, in your first semester of college, we want you to be successful, but we don't know why you're here. You may only be here for one semester to prove to your family that you can handle college before they let you transfer somewhere else. If that's your goal, then we are successful if you can accomplish that. You all may also be here to earn an associate's degree, an associate of arts or an associate of science. And if you stay and complete your degree, then that's success. In our class, we identify success as you completing your first semester and all subsequent semesters satisfactorily, because it's our intent that you take this information and you use it and apply it to all of your classes, whether it's this semester or in future semesters. The next term that we're going to look at is learning theory. It is a scientific idea about how humans obtain knowledge and skills, which simply means how humans learn. And it's just a theory because it can't exactly be proven. It can't be considered a law because it all happens inside human brains and we can't see that. However, all the scientists have studied lots and lots of people, and it's generally how humans learn, even though there are a few exceptions. The reason that we look at this is it explains how we learn and how we can change our habits and behaviors in order to take in new information and learn from it. The next term is a learning strategy. These are an individual's approach to completing a given task. Concrete example for a learning strategy is how you tie your shoes. There are many different ways that you can tie your shoes. The bunny ears around the tree. That's your strategy for accomplishing the task of getting your shoes tied. So the learning strategies that we talk about in this class are all ways to help you take in and learn the information that is given to you from your professors. And finally, the last term is a principle. This is a fundamental truth that serves as a foundation for beliefs, behaviors, or chains of reasoning. In reality, it's the why of your behaviors and why you do what you do. It's a principle that underlies it or what causes it. In this class, we're using an article from Cusio and others, which details all of the principles that underlie college student success. Okay, there's one final note about terminology. First, I want you to recognize the word and the definition as it's given in the course guide. You should always do this. It's kind of like memorizing, just in case your professors give you a matching exam or multiple choice exam and they don't put the terms in their own words. But then I want you to make sure that you do put them in your own words and learn them that way. That takes you from the level of memorizing up to the level of truly understanding. If you can put it in your own words and explain what it means, then you understand that term. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to practice these terms so that you fully know them. And don't wait until the night before the test to start learning them, because you're going to have a lot of terminology in all of your classes to take in and learn. One of the ways that you can do that is with a simple piece of paper like this. So just fold it in half lengthwise or hot dog style. Put the term, like culture, on one side. And on the other side, put the definition. This is a better way of doing flashcards. Then you can ask yourself, what is culture? And without looking, you're going to say, culture are the rituals, norms, and behaviors of a group of people. And then you can look and see if you were correct. And if you are, put a tick mark beside there. Once you rack up 2 or 3 tick marks, then you know that you really know that term and you don't have to study it as much anymore. The other thing, that as you're studying these terms, don't just worry about the definition. Think about the ways that they relate to each other. Why are they important? How are they alike and how are they different? And most of all, how can you use them? So as you're learning theories, strategies, principles, we want you to be actually using them in your classes to help you have a better semester and a more successful college experience. And finally, for every section of the course guide, I want you to think about how those sections interrelate with each other. How are they alike and how are they different? So we give you the transition issue. And then I want you to use the theories, the principles, and the strategies to help combat those issues. So you have to think about how they interrelate. For example, a learning theory is how people learn. A learning strategy is what they use to learn or the way that they learn it. And a principle is the why behind, the reasoning behind why they learn. So the learning theory is the what, the strategy is the how, and the principle is the why. And how are they all alike? They're all about how we learn. And you can use them to help you learn all of the information that you're given from your instructors. That's all for today's video. I hope you found this information useful. Stay tuned for more videos on future chapters as Dr. Deb explains.